Listed at 6'8" from Traywood, Ohio, number 34, Andre Hudson. At forward for Florida, a sophomore listed at 6'8" from Mitchell, South Dakota, number 13, Mike Miller. At forward for Michigan State, a senior listed at 6'7" from Flint, Michigan, number 42, Morris Peterson. At center for Florida, a sophomore listed at 6'7" from Miami, Florida, number 50, Udonis Haslam. At center for Michigan State, a senior listed at 6'9" from Findlay, Ohio, number 43, A.J. Granger. At guard for Florida, a freshman listed at 6'3" from Sarasota, Florida, number 12, Justin Hamilton. At guard for Michigan State, a junior listed at 6'3" from Flint, Michigan, number 14, Charlie Bell. At guard for Florida, a sophomore listed at 5'10" from Fort Myers, Florida, number 5, Teddy Dupay. At guard for Michigan State, our senior listed at 6'2" from Flint, Michigan, number 12, Mateen, Cleaves. The head coach for Florida, Billy Donovan. And for Michigan State, Tom Izzo.
These two coaches, each with their mentors on hand tonight. We'll be seeing them. Pitino and Heathcote. Billy, let's talk about the Packer points for the championship.
Well, Michigan State, the #1 rebounding team in the United States, they really have an edge in the glass. Plus 12 rebound margin, that leads the NCAA. They were even better in regular season. The Florida bench has been unbelievable in this tournament. Look at those stats, 175-89. They dominated North Carolina, holding their bench to just 2 points the other night. The team Cleaves. He has got to come through tonight for this basketball team. So much is going to be asked upon him. He has got to shoot a little better. He's got to stay on the floor and definitely stay out of foul trouble. And we start talking about the MOP tradition. Guys that can step up and do the job. Two come to mind quickly. Morris Peterson and look at Mike Miller. Look at how close they are in average, even though Miller plays a few less minutes each game. These two guys capable of big games tonight, Jim.
The officials, James Burr's 5th championship game, joined by Gerald Boudreau and David Hall. Florida in blue tonight. First ever time in a title game. Michigan State won in its only other championship appearance in 1979. Win over Larry Bird and Indiana State. Kelser and Magic, Irvin Johnson leading the Spartans to their only title.
Jim, I was there that night. There's no more electricity that night than there is here tonight. This is a special crowd.
You can feel it. Yeah. You can feel it's going to be a special night. And Michigan State begins with Peterson misfiring on a 3, tipped up and in by Charlie Bell.
Well, do we have to go any more than about 8 seconds to show what they can do on the glass? Offensive rebounding, they are superior. Peterson on Miller. Bell Dupay, that allows Bell to go to rebound. Straight man-to-man everywhere.
Dupay. What a move past a couple of Spartans, but misses the lay-in.
I think Dupay expected defensive pressure. There's a nice screen, but nothing there. Good job.
Hudson screened away for Cleaves. Dupay goes inside. Right. Good move, and the Gators join him at 2.
That's kind of surprising to me because Wright has not shown that kind of offensive movement, and Hudson, one of the best players defensively against low post position. The senior's a little shaky out here, and that can happen sometimes. The mature player realizing this is the last game he'll ever play in this uniform.
Bell and Hudson.
Double team. Nice job by Hudson pulling it out.
Granger, senior. Yes, that's a three.
Wright has got to realize that Granger would rather score on the outside than the inside, so he has to fight over the top, get out there against him, and stop that jump shot, force him to put the ball on the floor.
He had not scored a field goal, had Granger, in the last 38 minutes in this tournament. Miller behind the back, and he gets the roll. What a move.
There's where we're talking about great talent, Jim. I have not seen anybody do that against Michigan defense. Split the seam with a behind-the-back dribble. Sensational play.
Bell goes out. Peterson steps in. Granger takes it. And good for a second time, this time a two.
Well, he might have been a little nervous on that ball handling, but he's stripping the outside shot. Florida surprisingly not playing him for the jumper. Staying away from him.
Haslam, he was hacked by Hudson.
Here we're going to see, Jim, as fine an individual offensive maneuver as you will see against the team that played. That's Hudson and Peterson, two experienced defenders with great size and anticipation. Miller split the seam behind the back and scores. Great play.
Udonis Haslam, sophomore from Miami, Florida. He won 2 state high school championships. And now, just in his sophomore year, a chance for a national championship. He thought that realistically, he might make a run at the championship by his senior year in this new program built by Billy Donovan. No idea they would be chasing the championship as a sophomore.
Dangerous pass. Good break by Cleaves. Now, what we're seeing, Jim, is something interesting. Michigan State has not yet had to use Cleaves full court to dribble the ball against the press. They're throwing right over it.
Wright drives in on Granger, and he'll go to the line for 2. No problem with the press to this point.
No, it really hasn't. An experienced team. Good hit ahead right here. And Steve Mateen, Cleaves comes to the ball, realizes the ball's hit ahead. Breaks right through 2 defenders. There's where experience. It was not drawn up that way, Jim, but an experienced leader like Cleaves knew what to do.
Wright will shoot one more out of Miami Senior High. Once played with Allen Edwards, who experienced a championship 2 years ago, winning a ring down in San Antonio. Kentucky beat Utah.
Important for Florida to make their free throws so they can set up their press. But watch, Jim, we haven't seen the ball put on the floor much by Michigan State.
Again, up and over they go. Cleaves banks it home.
You can see what they plan on doing to Florida. They are not going to wear their point guard out by trying to dribble through the press, as was the case of Jason Williams from Duke and Ed Cota from North Carolina.
Haslam hits the outside shot.
3 offensive maneuvers against Hudson so far in this ballgame, all successful.
How about the pace of this one, Billy?
Well, it is not Michigan State, Wisconsin, I can tell you that.
You're going to outscore that maybe by the first break. Bell, 3-point shot.
What I like, Jim, is everybody is playing loose in this game. I don't see any tightness on the part of either team. Here we see again going right over the top. Now, we're talking about this team, Jim, in addition to having guys that can catch the ball, they've got 2 quarterbacks, high school quarterbacks of major account. Hudson, who was a great high school quarterback, and Cleaves as well. And that time it was quarterback to quarterback.
Jason Richardson has replaced Cleaves for the Spartans.
Big assignment for Peterson to have to play Miller and also be called upon probably to play 35 minutes in this game.
Toupee takes the jumper. It was a 2-point try, and Bell comes in. He's a good rebounding guard. Peterson wants to drive, and he'll shoot a pair.
Now, one of the things, Jim, that often happens to a team like Florida that likes to create up-tempo action, a team that likes to run doesn't like to be run against, and you can see that Michigan State saying, we can play this game as well. Now, they haven't gone into their press, but they certainly have turned this into a running game against Florida. And unlike teams that Florida has beaten in this tournament, notably Duke and North Carolina, that did not have any bench at all, this Michigan State, although they don't have as productive a bench in terms of points and rebounds, they have good substitutes that can give them quality minutes.
2 All-Big Ten selections, and both were honorees also last year. Peterson was not a starter last year, got starter minutes, but was a 6th man. But it really told you something about him, what a special kid he is. to be able to accept that role coming in.
Jim, for the first time, and we've had Florida every game, we see a substitution pattern change. Nelson comes in the game by himself, not the wave of the 5 off the bench the way Billy Donovan has been doing it. So far, Donovan is trying to play the game that Izzo wants.
Nelson replaces Hamilton in the lineup. Up and over they go. Haslam has position. And he's a rugged force inside for the Gators.
The best high-low game that we've seen in the tournament.
Again, they break it quickly. Richardson, freshman, outside jumper goes.
Billy Donovan may have to call a timeout. His team's getting beat continually on the break.
They try to beat him the same way. Haslam was too far under the cylinder. Dupay.
And look at this fast break on all missed baskets. Any turnover, Michigan State going right on the offensive attack. They don't want to play half court at a time.
Dupay is struggling shooting in this dome going back to Saturday. Peterson floater. Yes.
And you see where Richardson was for the offensive tap if he didn't get it. Billy Donovan waiting for a TV timeout, but he may have to call one soon for a young team that I'm sure is somewhat shocked. Can't get the ball in Nelson's hands. He's inside, and I can tell you, Bell can guard him in there.
10 seconds on the shot clock.
Miller going to try to get a high screen and go one-on-one.
Working on Peterson, dumps it inside. 1 on the shot clock, got it off in time. Bell pulls it away.
And here they come.
4 rebounds already for Bell. Richardson pull up. And now Nelson wants to get the Gators running, which has been a rare sight so far.
And Jim, look at what you see for Florida. Miller, Wright, and Haslam not yet over half court, and Michigan State already back. So those guys are worn out by the Michigan State aggressive play.
It is a Michigan State crowd here in Big Ten country, and they're up 6 in the first break.
Here you want to see
This national championship game is sponsored by Oldsmobile, Nortel Networks, MetLife, and by Budweiser.
Jim Nance, Billy Packer back for the championship game. Florida has brought in now its second unit aside from Mike Miller. Nelson is on the floor. He was the first sub. Harvey, Donnell Harvey, freshman, Shellman, Georgia. Also on the floor, Kenyon Weeks and Matt Bonner.
Jimmy, I think back to 1988, and we'll go to Mateen just for a second here.
You know, Jim, that you're talking about beating the press over the top. It's something that Michigan State has worked religiously the last 2 days in practice. Not against 5 defenders, but against 7. Tom Izzo said the key was to keep the ball in the middle of the floor and simulate that Florida quickness on defense. Back to you.
There's Kenyon Weeks. Jim, I was going to say, this reminds me a little bit, and different type teams, but 1988, Kansas, Oklahoma. Everybody thought Kansas would come out and try to play a half-court game. Larry Brown had his club running right at Oklahoma, right into the teeth of their quickness, and it knocked Oklahoma off stride. Let's see if Florida can get back onto their game with these substitutes.
That was a 50-50 game at halftime. It was wide open.
I would have anticipated that Kansas would have loved that, a game in the 30s, and it was 50-50, as you say, and they kept it up. Danny Manning and company.
Chappelle with a 3. And that's off the top of the backboard. It'll be Florida ball.
And Aganya. Little elbow flying. Now we are going to see. This is a great piece of officiating right here. They have watched these two men in action, and they go ahead and get them together instead of calling a foul. A great official right there. Stop and play and say, Harvey, you and Aganya, I know what you're going to try to do, but you're not going to do it while I'm blowing this whistle. Nice piece.
That's Jim Burr. Nelson got a good screen.
Got fouled by Cleaves.
In and out. Weeks with the tip. Florida ball. And now back for Miller.
And here's what I'm talking about here, and this is why I think it was a great piece of officiating. Without question, you could have called something right there. You don't want these guys getting in any kind of a fisticuff. Settle them down.
Major Parker has come in, so we have an entire second 5 in for Florida. A dangerous 5 indeed this entire tournament.
It was a kick, and they should have got time back out on the clock. Not called.
A unit that's averaged 35 points a game during the NCAAs.
And Jim, they haven't maintained leads. They've extended them.
Charge called against Parker. Relive the entire NCAA tournament with video highlights and recaps from every game. Click on March Mayhem at cbs.sportsline.com or America Online, keyword CBS Sportsline.
Jim, that bench 138 to 86 against opponents, and they built on that when they played against North Carolina coming into this Final Four. Mateen, Cleaves has not had to control tempo much in this game. They've been scoring primarily on the break.
Only 2 starters on the floor for the Spartans.
I think they should go to Hudson right now. He's got Bonner on him. He can overpower Bonner.
Cleaves with 9, puts it up, and Bonner has the rebound.
Good stop by the Florida defense.
Bonner, freshman, 3-point shot underneath, and there they are.
Yep.
Anaganya and Harvey colliding. It'll go against Michigan State.
Well, despite the lecture, they still went after each other.
I talked earlier, Billy, about the mentors for these 2 coaches in the stands. Rick Pitino has come in to watch Billy Donovan. Donovan played for him, was an assistant coach for Pitino, and Judd Heathcote. 12 years Izzo served as an assistant. First interviewed with Judd Heathcote. His jaw was wired shut after a softball accident. Couldn't even understand a word Izzo said during the interview, and he didn't hire him. 2 years later, he gave him a second chance, and he hired him as a graduate assistant.
Judd, 19 years with Michigan State, and during that time, he turned out to be the only guy that ever retired from coaching in the Big Ten during that tenure. Everybody else either left or got fired.
Up pass. Weeks gets it out. Nelson. And the kid out of West Virginia hits a 3.
Jim, what made that shot? Nelson was already squared up with his feet before he caught the ball, so the release was rather quick.
Cleaves drives past 2 Gators, finds Hudson. Hudson bangs into Harvey, and another basket inside.
And there's that full strength of Cleaves to break through any kind of defense. Florida has not seen that yet in the tournament, maybe all year.
Stolen away by Peterson.
Bell needs to come back to the ball.
Florida looks a little in awe of the situation here tonight, Billy.
Well, we have 7 players in the Florida team that played in the Sweet 16 last year, so it's not that they're without experience, but we have 18 and 19-year-old kids playing against 22-year-old men. That is a big difference.
Peterson, front of the rim.
Weeks got a piece of him after the shot.
Bell with great anticipation.
Maybe the best rebounding guard in the country. When you figure he's got good power on the inside, so he's got to share rebounds. Set play, double screen for Peterson.
He's had a couple of open looks. Granger fights hard for it, and Bonner crashes for the Gators. Look at this. Nelson, yes! Schoolboy legend out of St. Albans, West Virginia. So popular they had to move his high school games to a 14,000-seat arena. Swat away Harvey. Back into the arms of Peterson for the lay-in. He was lucky.
And who was it but Bell on the offensive glass to keep it alive? That is the key to Michigan State's game, and that is one thing Billy Donovan has not been able to stop so far.
Parker. And they'll say Cleaves bumped him trying to fight off the screen.
He's one substitute that Tom Izzo does not want to have to take a place for. They've got to keep Cleaves on the floor.
And the Spartans have not committed a turnover. Let's get a report from Bonnie Bernstein. Bonnie?
Jim, during the timeout, Tom Izzo was talking to Mateen Cleaves, probably telling him, try not to pick up those cheap fouls, but that's exactly what Billy Donovan wants his Gators to do. If you remember back in the semifinals, Ed Cota had 4 fouls on him with 13 minutes left. He's telling his guys, be aggressive with Mateen off the dribble. When he steps up, try to take the charge, Jim.
That's a good point by Bonnie, Jim, and one of the things that really hurts you, you're going to commit some fouls that you're just trying to stop a guy who may have better position. The cheap foul is the one that puts you in foul trouble. Ed Cota's 3rd was the one that hurt North Carolina, almost more than the 4th. Here we see Michigan State going to his zone for the first time in out-of-bounds situation.
Harvey in the paint. And all Michigan State underneath. Miller, the starter, has returned along with Haslam for the Gators. Outside, Granger, 3-point shot. And that was off Miller.
Good job by Peterson. Miller had the rebound, but again, they constantly attack that glass.
Felt the presence of Peterson on his back, or right behind him.
Now Weeks. Now you see Florida playing a little zone. Not bad against this team, because it's not, with the exception of Peterson and Granger, a club that's got outstanding outside shooting.
Harvey almost took it away.
Boy, he is quick.
Cleaves, open three. Yes.
Those are those that kill you. You don't anticipate Mateen is going to hit from the outside. Matter of fact, he's been shooting very, very poorly in the games in the tournament. Just 1 for 7 against Wisconsin on Saturday.
Already with 7 points tonight, Mateen Cleaves.
And there's what Miller can do that Michigan State has not seen. As a 6'8", 9 man, put the ball on the floor and go over the top of the defense.
First ever championship appearance for the Gators in the Big Ten with 14 wins. 2 Final Four teams here. Miller to the line after the foul on Peterson.
Jim, who would have ever believed this is the first time that the Big Ten and the SEC have met in the championship game?
That's amazing. I think 6 times, though, in all in semifinal games, but never in a championship.
Well, it's kind of appropriate that these two teams representing those two leagues were the best 2 leagues in the United States. The power conferences, without question, this past season. Hudson would like to get something going, but Haslam's been very solid inside defensively.
What a pass. Peterson to Granger.
Senior to senior. They've been playing together a long time.
Granger from Findlay, Ohio, not a part of the Flintstones. Look at Nelson. He's already made a couple. Not this time. Haslam inside Harvey takes it away from his teammate and scores.
Florida showing that they can get something going on the offensive glass. Nelson shot way outside.
Look at Cleaves yet again with a 3.
He looks up at the Flint faithful up here behind him just to say, I can shoot that jumper.
And his mother, Frances, looks right back at him.
Florida running that high set, trying to get Nelson free. Miller needs to touch it more off the dribble. Here he comes. Dangerous pass.
9-point lead for the Spartans. Inside, Harvey works for it.
Oh,
Bell collapses to the floor.
And one of the things you almost have to do when you play against Michigan State as a guard, you have got to block Bell out. Normally you think of Bell blocking out the guy he's guarding, but you notice where Nelson was? 22 feet away from the basket. Bell is going to the glass.
And really no one anywhere close to making contact, putting a body on him, boxing him out. Cleaves splits the defenders, tipped from behind to force the steal.
Nelson stayed right with him. I'm surprised the team didn't give that up.
First turnover of the night for the Spartans. Took them 12 minutes.
High-low action again.
Haslam fouled outside with the body by Anaganya.
Wright and Haslam really run that high-low post nicely. Haslam gets a wide spread in there, and Wright with his height can throw down over the defense.
Second foul on Anaganya. Mateen Cleaves has put the Spartans up 9. And Florida faces its biggest deficit of the entire tournament. Trailed by 7 on 2 occasions. Once to Illinois and in the opening round to Butler. Down 7, in fact, with 4 minutes to play before pulling out the overtime thriller. Let's go down to Armin Katayan.
Well, Jim, if you're looking for the source of Mateen Cleaves' inspired play, look no further than the private chat he told me before the game he had with this man right here, Magic Johnson. Magic told him, don't hold anything back, remember the moment, and leave it all on the floor. Back to you.
They had such a conversation last year. Remember that, Jim?
Absolutely. Magic's been very involved with these kids, the Michigan State program. Bell over to Richardson. And they've opened up a double-digit lead.
Richardson, a great finisher. And again, Michigan State really challenging Florida, saying, we're going to run in this basketball game. Get used to it. Nice opening for Weeks.
Weeks unable to finish, though.
Here they come again.
Peterson gets it to Richardson. We'll wait for some help. So will Anaganya. Granger, he'll take it from the corner. Numbers for Florida. Tough pass and a turnover.
Jim, there was no angle on that pass. Nelson's, now there's where experience will come. He had to have a two-handed pass there. He tried to do it right off the dribble. Came up with a pass with too much heat on it. Billy Donovan, great point guard that he was, I'm sure will point that out to him. They really didn't have a good passing angle on the play.
Ballinger in for Michigan State. We saw Dupay return for Florida.
Ballinger's job is to steal some minutes for Michigan State.
Press has caused no trouble at all for the Spartans tonight.
It has to now, Jim, because Cleaves is out of the game. Here is where Florida State, while he's out of there, has got to get some points off their press. Bell's the primarily ball handler here.
Granger gets Haslam to commit, takes advantage. Good move. Granger having a big night with 9.
Well, good move by Florida, too. You got to force Granger to put it on the floor. Nobody helped out.
Miller. Haslam put back goes.
Florida not able to get their press started. They really now has got time to get it going. And Michigan State, with the ability to throw over the top of the press, has kind of disorganized that press a little bit in this first half. Haslam should really get on Ballinger. Maybe a little shaky as a ball handler.
Second turnover of the night.
Jim, you cannot afford to have Cleaves and Hudson sit on the bench and not pick up some points if you're Florida. Your bench has got to be explosive while they're sitting down. Here we see Granger. You got to play him to shoot first, dribble second. Florida did, but nobody helped out.
Cleaves is back in the game, manning up on Hamilton. They have just suffocated Miller to this point. Tuesday on CBS, when Mac's integrity is questioned, Harm will go to extremes to fight for her honor. Don't miss an all-new Jag, America's #1 action drama, Tuesday on CBS. This kid at the line, so highly recruited, most decorated schoolboy player ever out of the state of South Dakota, from Mitchell, South Dakota. Right off of Interstate 90, a town of 13,000. It came down to Kentucky, Kansas, and Florida, and a lot of people that looked at him with a rather dubious eye and thought maybe this was not the best decision when he picked the Gators, and he felt validated when they qualified for the Final Four. He said he believed so much in Coach Donovan.
And here's the opportunity to set up the press on the made free throw. Florida does a good job getting to that foul line, and that's when they are most effective, but a reach in by Hamilton.
Still not a 1-on-1 situation. Only the 4th team foul. Bench points, not the explosion we've been seeing from Florida during the tournament.
2-1, still an advantage, but Billy Donovan did not go with the wave of 5 new men. Inadvertent horn right there, and the experience of Peterson and Cleaves and Hudson realized it and kept on playing. Hudson and Cleaves, rather.
Sets a screen.
Now, being left-handed, he doesn't mind rolling off that way.
Cleaves tipped up and in by Richardson.
You have got to keep them off the glass. We saw Richardson against Connecticut in a behind-the-back dribble. Unnecessary by Miller. Just a turnover that he'd like to have back, and he slipped on that floor, getting up slowly. I think he's kind of just embarrassed by the play. Unnecessary behind-the-back dribble. This is a big game. You got to be solid with the ball. Hudson even showing he can help out on the break.
Breaking that press like an old option quarterback, finding a seam that he was in high school. 5 minutes to go in the half. Up 11, Michigan State.
Mateen is just orchestrating this game. He looks like the maestro in front of the band, doesn't he?
Cleaves steps in 2.
Richardson again on the boards.
Right in the corner, saves it. Just haven't felt Florida's been in sync all night. Hamilton, front of the rim.
Oh, big break for Florida.
Haslam.
Wright put it down in traffic. It turned out to be a perfect pass to his partner Haslam.
Second call against Hudson. Peterson returns. We're going to see David Thomas come in also, along with Granger for the Spartans.
You know, do you think that when you challenge Tom Izzo, and everybody talking about this bench of Florida's, I think that that puts him in a situation to say, you know, I'm going to show you I've got some guys that can play sitting on my bench, because he's gone to it very early today, and they have produced.
Haslam's had a nice game for the Gators. He's at the line to try to complete a three-point play. Now with 11. That's a bench at Michigan State that's really kind of been out of sync, Billy, all season because of injuries. Hudson and Richardson were out a month. Anaganya's lingering stress fracture. Cleaves out 2 months. They never got a solid rotation.
Well, of course, their leader missed the first 13 games of the year where they played a very aggressive schedule, played it fairly well, but getting Cleaves back makes this an entirely different team. Cut without the ball, that's Harvey. Well, the normal player cutting through and being hit by Harvey's knee is still on the floor. Look at how Mateen bounced right back up. I mean, that is a collision. Mateen, so tough.
He was saying yesterday, was Mateen, that he really preferred football. Thinks he could probably still play it. He liked the contact. His father and brother were both football players back in Flint. Harvey collects his second.
Well, you see guys that commit themselves to a championship. That's what this young man did when they got knocked out last year by Duke. That I'm coming back, and I'm going to lead this team to a crown. After the big blowout win against Michigan, he took the microphone in his hand and said, we are going to win the championship. And so far tonight, he's been that kind of a leader.
And his teammates and his friends from Flint have all bought into his leadership when they say to a man that Mateen will not let us lose. And he's shown that tonight on the floor. Peterson comes up way short.
He doesn't miss many of those. A well-executed screen for him. You know, Florida's having some success pounding inside. This is very unusual.
Harvey with the soft touch with the left hand.
We have seen Florida primarily score by turning the other team over and getting in the open court, but right now tonight, with Haslam and Wright and Harvey, they're pounding that ball inside, taking it to Michigan State. And mentioned earlier in games that we had with Michigan State, without Antonio Smith, they're not as hard to play against as they were last year because he handled everything down in the paint.
That's the first foul on Dupay. Florida's on a 9-2 run right now.
And doing it by going on the offensive glass, pounding things inside. Ballinger, not a good ball handler. Harvey should go out and really make it tough for him to make a pass. Solid screen coming up here from Mateen Cleaves.
10 seconds on the clock. Shot clock, Ballinger outside, unexpected point.
You better believe it, Jim. He was left wide open by Harvey.
Right to the corner. Parker, he hit a shot from that spot against Carolina on Saturday, and a foul away from the ball to go against Ballinger.
Now, Billy Donovan has made all the right moves getting his team here, Jim. One of the moves I'm anxious to see right now, and I'm sure it's very obvious to him, is that he has, surprisingly, the advantage if he goes down inside with the passing. Wright and Harvey have been overpowering, and Haslam been overpowering Michigan State.
It'll be a 1-1. The line is the National High School Player of the Year a season ago, Donnell Harvey.
SEC Newcomer of the Year. Huge, huge hands on this young man. I often think it's so difficult to shoot free throws when your hands are so big. It's tough to get that touch with your fingers.
1 of 2.
Boy, it really hurts to miss free throws too, Jim, because then you can't set the press up. Notice how Harvey is not guarding Ballinger. It makes Ballinger, being always the guy that gets the outlet pass, takes away all the defensive intensity of the other 4 players. No sense for 4 guys playing guys hard one guy staying away from his, even if he's not an offensive threat.
Second foul on Wright. We're going to have a 1-and-1. Coming up, Pennzoil at the half with Greg and Clark and Bobby Crimmins. They'll analyze the first half, and Dick Enberg reflects on the tournament. It's all coming up. Pennzoil at the half. Peterson
16 for 16 in the open.
Well, you would say that. You said you wouldn't do it to him. He had never missed in the tournament in his career.
That's right. 16 for 16 in this year's tournament.
18 for 18 overall. And a turnover. It's going back to the Spartans. Michigan State has dictated tempo, and the Spartans lead by 7. Give it a late show. Former player at Montana State.
Jimmy, Judd Heathcote coached at Montana State. John Wooden's last year, 75. Judd Heathcote had UCLA beat, and a referee knocked out his favorite player and his top player in that particular game. UCLA went on to win, kind of like we had the situation Florida over Butler. One of those games you dodge in the tournament.
A first-round scare. And beyond a scare, really, with Butler.
And UCLA went on to win the national title. Judd will talk about that referee if you get him tonight late on in the coffee shop.
Under 3 minutes to play in the half. Michigan State has never trailed.
Zone defense by Florida, one time down. Chappelle, a good outside shooter, but hasn't gotten the stroke going. Really packing it in here.
Bell, three-point shot, back to a 10-point lead.
We've seen 2 huge baskets that were somewhat unexpected. Ballinger's jump shot and then Bell against the zone. And Michigan State goes zone. Tom Izzo's got to feel real good about his club being fresh for the second half. He's been able to go to the bench, down inside.
Haslam having a huge night. He's got 13 of the Gators' 32.
Michigan State really doesn't have a presence in the paint defensively against what Florida's thrown at.
Chappelle lost the handle.
Nice move here by Florida because Michigan State going
Harvey,
again.
and Harvey again too strong.
Gotta finish that one, Jim.
Off the foot, stolen away Nelson. Timeout. Billy Donovan frantically signaling. Team saw it. Minute 35 to go in the half.
That's a full timeout.
The bench, it just seems out of sync.
Well, Billy Donovan broke with his tradition early on in this game. Remember, he brought in Nelson. Instead of bringing in that 5 in a wave, he brought one at a time. I think, Jim, right now, throw out the advantage of the bench and stamina. Michigan State will be able to be there 100% at the end. There's Izzo really getting in their face during the timeout. Now, I think also the adjustment that Billy Donovan can see that he can make is that he's got the power game inside, and they ought to go to it. Ballinger down there on Haslam. He can't handle it. Off the foot.
And taken away. Here comes Cleaves. Pull up. Why not? He's hot tonight. Mateen Cleaves.
Well, Jim, you can see the leg is now, a foot is completely healed. He's getting good elevation on the jump shot, more arc on the jump shot than I've ever seen before.
Nelson, no.
Nelson trying to get it all out too quickly.
Bell underneath for yet another rebound. Cleaves has hit 3 3-pointers.
They're going to have to give it up.
Timeout. Michigan State. Who would have thought Mateen Cleaves would lead them with his scoring tonight? Three-pointer doesn't fall this time.
Nice play, though, by Tom Izzo. Got a shot by a guy that's an outstanding perimeter shooter. I thought it would be for Peterson coming off the double.
Gators can really run down the clock all the way to the half.
Nelson can't force his way around to Cleaves.
Miller's taken only 2 shots in this half. Holding on to it at midcourt with 10 seconds to go.
Nice reach by Ballinger.
Bonner open shot. Got the good look. Miller gets it back. Underneath they go. Not in time.
And Bonner hurt his knee, Jim. He's down on the floor. After that jump shot got hit.
Battered and bruised, the Gators will head to the locker room down 13. Their largest deficit of the tournament. Let's go to Armin Katayan.
Thanks, Jim. Tom, you wanted to dictate the tempo. Are you pleased with what you've seen so far, particularly against the press?
Yeah, I think we've attacked the press pretty well. We've made some good passes, some good plays. They got 1 or 2 steals, but the trade-off right now I think has been in our favor, Armin.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Let's make that lead 11. 11 is the number at halftime. Michigan State led by Cleaves. He's the one with 13. 43. Billy, let's talk about what happened on the floor in that first half.
Well, analysis out the window in some respects right here. Look at the great job Florida's doing on the boards. Only 2 teams all year out-rebounded Michigan State. So there's a great edge for Florida. The New Wave Gators, hey, Michigan State showing their bench could play. They're hanging right with them, so they neutralize that. Now we have the key to the game is right here. Mateen Cleaves, 1 for 7 on Saturday, stepping up big time here. A neutral situation in regard to our 2 MOPs from the 2 regions, Peterson and Miller, just negating each other. But the key to this ball game is that man right there, Mateen Cleaves.
At the end of the half, Matt Bonner misfired on a 3, and it looked like he had maybe hurt his knee, but he's fine. He walked back out on the floor here. And we expect him to be available for the second half. Florida did have some success inside, Billy.
Well, if you're Billy Donovan, you wanted that halftime to be a few minutes longer to work on that. You want to go inside against this team. They have 8 for 12, 21 points inside. Now look at what Michigan State did. And Armin Katayan pointed out that they've been working on this for 2 days, going over the top with the ability of their 2 quarterbacks to deliver the passes. And that man right there has been the MOP of this first half.
Let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein. Bonnie?
Somewhat of a prophetic conversation with his former coach, Rick Pitino. Said he was worried about them shutting down the three-pointer. The only way they'd be able to score is on the inside. Well, during halftime, that's precisely what Donovan talked to his players about, that we have to make more of a conscientious effort to get the ball inside, because that's the only time we're getting the points. Jim?
Rick Pitino, you saw him. He coached his final college game on this floor 3 years ago. Championship game won by Arizona in overtime. Here to pull for his protege tonight. As Florida has first possession, Haslam 15 now on the night.
Billy Donovan didn't get this team here by being foolish. An excellent move on his part. He has a big advantage down inside. Michigan State hadn't been able to solve. On the other hand, Florida had not been able to get anything turned over with their press. There's the charge. Peterson.
Couple of good breaks here for the Gators right out of the locker room. That's the second now on Peterson. Second half comebacks. We mentioned the one against Butler. Down 6 in the second half against Carolina on Saturday.
Jim, they are not, however, going to make a comeback because Michigan State is tired. That was the reason for the comebacks in those other games. What they're going to have to do is come back by executing inside.
Haslam never had the handle, and Hamilton looks for help. He was on the line. What else stood out with the halftime numbers, Billy?
Well, a number of things stood out, as I mentioned to you, in terms of the bench points. Really jumps out at you. You can see that Tom Izzo has used his bench effectively, and they've really come through. You think of that jumper by Ballinger. Those are huge points. And Billy Donovan went away from that rotation of 5 subs. Here's the man leading rebounder, Bell.
Good pass, and Hudson has his second basket of the game.
Bell had 7 rebounds against Illinois earlier this year. Last year, 5 games, he was the leading rebounder for the team. Look at him going inside.
Haslam, missed the short one this time. Bell had scored, assisted, rebounded, and this time misfires on a lay-in.
Jim, I think the combination for Florida that could work is Harvey and Haslam in the game. Boy, they going inside each and every pass.
It's right, and he'll have a 3-point opportunity.
This is great strategy by Billy Donovan, and you can see what happens. Here comes the counter. Anaganya coming in the ball game. Tom Izzo saying, they've gone inside. I've got to get some power and size in there. Granger comes out. One of the things that Michigan State can think about doing is some doubling down here. But they're not doing it. It's just 1-and-1 inside, and Granger getting killed. He was benched earlier this year before he started playing so well down the stretch because he wasn't guarding people in the low paint. and he's going to get chewed out right now by Tom Izzo.
Right with the three-point play, cuts it to 8. Cleaves slicing and scoring. And a foul.
Jim, what is effective against this press, unlike what every other team tried to do against Florida's press, where they use their point guard to try to dribble through it? Cleaves is breaking long, so he is the receiver at the end of the press instead of the guy breaking it, and he's doing a great job finishing tonight.
Cleaves now is 16.
Now Anaganya down in Haslam. Watch the bodies banging now.
Got it, though.
Sensational shot.
17 for Haslam. And stolen right back. Hudson put it right in the hands of Wright.
This is interesting. Cleaves is going to have to come back for the ball.
This press looks a lot more aggressive in this half. Cleaves takes middle. And untouched.
How many guys have we seen being able to finish against this press like Cleaves can with that great strength? But he did a smart thing. He came back for the ball knowing his team wasn't handling it so well.
Blocked. And it took a while for him to make that call. Third on Peterson.
Well, see, you don't have your primary ball handler coming back for the ball. Cleaves was running away from it. No place for Hudson's pass to go. You don't see that Mateen running away from the ball. That's always very dangerous against a press. This call could have gone either way, Jim. You were right. The officials were looking right at us. You saw their eye contact. And as Peterson showed, those officials weren't sure which way they were going for it.
So Peterson to the bench with 3.
Nelson in the ball game now. So Billy Donovan getting away from his normal substitution pattern. Nelson wants the ball back for the jump shot.
Dupay in traffic, in trouble. Calls a timeout. He was not on the baseline.
Not a smart play to get down there.
Hudson tries to save it. Nelson plucks it out of the air.
And they're running. Dupay would like a jump shot.
He's going to take it. 3. And right.
Wow.
Whistle.
No whistle. That was a... Wow, you talk about trenches.
Not a foul anywhere. And outside, Cleaves was fouled, and he may, well,
he hurt himself.
He did.
He really hurt himself.
And he's dragging himself to the bench.
This is a very unfortunate circumstance right here for Michigan State, but on the other end of the floor, I thought there were numerous fouls that were not called. You'll see, and I said this on Saturday, Teddy Dupay does not guard people defensively. He mugs them. And there he puts Mateen down. Oh, Tom Izzo is really upset, and should be. Teddy Dupay does that time and time again. He will not let a man dribble on the break.
But there had just been a sequence of action where it looked like there could have been 2 or 3 calls at the other end. It was just helter-skelter all over the floor.
Yeah, without question. And watch Teddy Dupay now here. He will attack the dribbler.
And actually, the foul's been called.
Yeah, watch what he does here. He just keeps staying right in the man's face, doesn't even go for the ball. To me, that's an intentional foul. Mateen pushes him off, but that's after the play. The foul had long been called.
Yeah, the foul wasn't even against Dupay.
Yeah.
It was out near midcourt against Nelson.
Exactly. Mateen coming down.
Watch.
And they twist that ankle. Boy, he really did twist it. Tom Izzo really upset. Now we're looking at 16-18 to go in this game. Only a 6-point lead, and their leader down. Now he is tough, but can he come back from that?
That's the same foot that he broke last year, the start of this season, that kept him out of action for 2 months and 13 games.
If anybody could come back, this man will, but that was some twist of the ankle. Shaheen Holloway, Jim. Seton Hall, remember the twist he had that took him out of the ball game. You'll see the play right here. And he comes down, and oh boy, that is a twisted ankle.
It's just rolled right over. His mother, Frances.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though, he's walking fairly well on this thing. If any guy in college basketball can come back, it will be him, because he is tough. Now who steps up, huh?
Well, Michigan State, who will handle the ball? Richardson's in, Chappelle is in, Anaganya, Hudson, Chappelle, top of the key three. They answer right away with
That was a huge shot, and you saw Tom Izzo. One thing will help Michigan State, Jim. They played 13 games without him earlier in the year.
Nelson. He had a good look. Miller tips it right in the hands of Hudson.
Here's when you have to reach down. Do you have that American dream? Reach down and pull it up.
Anaganya called for the foul of Michigan State. Mateen Cleaves walks backstage.
In here, we'll see him back on the floor. Mateen at that point, 18 points, 7-11. This team, Michigan State, was 9-4 without him in the first 13 games of the year against difficult opponents.
Miller lost control of it, and Chappelle picks his pocket.
Two big plays by Chappelle coming off.
Bell got stuck.
Another jumper. Passed it up. Probably a wise decision. He really didn't have himself planted. His team wouldn't have been in a position to rebound. See a little confidence coming to the eyes of the Florida players. How about you, Jim?
Oh, well, no doubt, because they know that Cleaves is out of the game.
Weeks, the only senior. Harvey always intense.
And Peterson's still on the bench with 3 fouls. Let's get a report now. Armin Katayan. Armin.
Thanks, Jim. I just got late word from inside the locker room. It's a high ankle sprain. They're going to take Mateen, and they're going to bring him out. He's going to try to play. Back to you.
Did you expect anything less?
No, not from him.
What did we hear him say to his team as they came out in the second half? Leave it all on the floor. And believe me, that's what he will do.
When he gets back out here, this arena is going to go wild. It's going to be like David Thompson when he came back into a tournament game against Pittsburgh back in 1974. I know you were there.
Yeah, he came back out on the floor. He unfortunately did not play, but that looked like that was going to be a tragic injury. But in this case, Mateen's just got the ankle.
And a missed opportunity for the Gators.
Chappelle with a big play, Richardson with a play, Ballinger with a jumper. This Michigan State bench is being very productive here tonight. Left-hander.
And Wright secures it.
Now Weeks hasn't gotten off a shot. A good outside shooter.
Florida has not scored in the 2+ minutes with Cleaves out.
Absolutely. Packing it back in is Michigan State, and Harvey, not good hands.
Just haphazard with the basketball. Bell gives it up. Look at Richardson. And the follow-up, Chappelle, the former Duke player.
Sat out last year and had to watch his team lose to his former team. Very productive since he's come off the bench. They've got to get Weeks a touch over here.
Chappelle scored the last 5 points for the Spartans. 3-point shot back to the rim. Tipped up. And a foul going against Weeks.
What you're seeing right now, Jim, is Florida is much too impatient. Bell, good touch. Richardson, and we saw him against Connecticut make some incredible plays earlier this year. And there is that offensive rebounding. Chappelle with a jumper from the outside, a key rebound, and then a putback.
Cleaves is on the way back. And Billy, that bench of Michigan State side has been looking and looking. And now they're starting to realize it here in the arena. It's like a heavyweight prize fighter moment.
Look at his bomb.
That's the... Oh! And out of control.
Bell.
You saw Valerie Peterson there, Billy, and Frances Cleaves. And they realize it off the giant screen
he's not out
He's
here
not
yet.
out here yet. That's what started the entire ovation. He hasn't worked his way all the way back.
Now here's where Florida has got to make up ground, Jim. And they are not doing a good job with their half-court offense. Very impatient.
Right. Banks it home. Here comes Cleaves. Muhammad Ali has been in the building at this Final Four, and this is a moment that he could certainly relate to. You look over in the direction of a family.
Let's see if he goes to Tom Izzo and says, Coach, put me in right away to find out if I can get it done. I think the longer he sits down, the more difficult it will be for him to return to the game. Reading his lips, he says, Coach, I'm okay. We're going to see him back in this game quickly.
Well, they've sent word that straight on, he's fine, but side to side, it's a problem for him. And Weeks, there you go, Billy, three-pointer.
I thought it was a good idea to get the ball in his hands. He's the senior. Doesn't mind taking a big shot.
And Cleaves is heading to the scorer's table, it appears.
Nice job by Haslam not to give Granger the open jumper. Here comes Mateen.
Cleaves will be back.
A thriller in Manila. That's what it feels like.
It really does. And Granger. And you know what? They're only going to build on that lead. And the role of leader never ends.
Izzo questioning whether Mateen wants to go back in with the lead here. But I really think when you have an ankle sprain like that, it's good to run on it as quickly as possible. The longer you sit, the tighter it gets.
Stay active. Whistle on Hudson.
Now this really helps Florida if they can make their free throws because it sets up their opportunity to press.
Third on Hudson.
And that's good. You have two guys that were injured coming back into the game. Bonner as well. We saw that knee injury that he looked like he had right at the end of the first half, ready to come in.
Two shots for Wright.
Hudson's third. He's been very ineffective in this game, Jim.
The lead was 6 when he left. He returns. It's 9.
And Jim, great sportsmanship. The Florida fans are giving him a hand as well.
Mateen returns also. He was out for 5 minutes with 3 fouls. Michigan State leads it by a beer sprain. I mean, watch how this rolls.
There it is right there. And you can see the official pointing out the foul was called a long time before that. And there's how that ankle just turned Dupay and Mateen Cleaves.
And again, it's the same foot. It's a high ankle sprain. But on that foot, that right foot, he suffered a stress fracture. Been through so much rehabilitation to be able to be back for this.
And there he goes.
There he is. Looking. Peterson. Pass was a little too low.
It really was. Down around the ankles.
Near the conclusion of every NCAA tournament game, we select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player from each team. To date, Chevrolet has contributed over $8 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities.
Miller, Peterson, that has been just a standoff tonight. Neither one of them stepping up big in this game.
Parker.
Nice rebound by Miller. Good feed inside, no help.
Haslam up high with the shot. And out to Cleaves to Peterson.
Good breakaway there. I really think, Jim, that the combination that Florida needs on the floor is Harvey and Haslam. They're not getting the second. Here's a push by Bonner. He's not strong enough to go up against this Michigan State team.
Florida's getting some good shots.
But what's really interesting, Billy Donovan has had to get away from his normal rotation of substitution. And here we see Cleaves bouncing on that ankle a little bit, just testing it, and you know it has to hurt.
Bench points, so one-sided all tournament long for the Gators. Only a 1-point difference. The big boost tonight by Chappelle for Michigan State.
Well, just think, the North Carolina game, 37-2, the bench led the Tar Heels. So Michigan State has really done well with their guys coming off.
Magana was held by Haslam.
Nice dump down by Granger. He had the open jumper and realized his teammate had superior position.
Haslam's second 15 foul, Wright and Dupay. Dupay has had a hard time adjusting here in the Dome. He's 0 for 4 tonight, 0 for 6 on Saturday.
And he's having a hard time getting his shot off, Jim. He's had to take his jumpers from beyond range. See, Mateen just trying to distribute the ball, not putting it on the floor. Let's see if he can go ahead and make this move. He's getting a double screen high. Can't turn the corner.
Richardson turns the corner, though. And Michigan State ball. Weeks returns for Florida. For Parker. Gators just haven't been able to put together a run tonight. Any significance.
Now what we're seeing right now by Mateen Cleaves is probably not the physical player that can score and run the team, but his presence on the floor has to give a lot of confidence to this club.
Just having him out there.
Absolutely. See, he can't turn the corner with that angle.
Mateen with a 3. Tipped up, and Granger.
As an example, Cleaves not a factor at all physically, but emotionally and mentally, he's settling his club down.
Granger with 14 points in this championship game.
Florida getting a little desperate in their half-court offense.
It sure seems like it, Billy.
Yeah.
Still 9.5 to play.
A lot of time, and I don't think Billy Donovan can get on the floor the team that he wants to score.
Haslam off the feed from Miller.
That allows him to set up the press. Now let's see what Mateen does now if he touches the ball in the open court area. Michigan State wisely tries to get somebody else to help him.
Away.
He couldn't get there.
Right. And a quick 2 for Florida.
See, Jim, Mateen cannot make the quick break back to the ball.
Peterson, will he go all the way? Yes. And 1.
Normally, Dupay will mug a guy out there and not let him get the shot off, but Peterson just too strong for him.
Dupay's second.
That's a huge basket for Michigan State. See, normally he'll go after. Now, I think these are intentional fouls. He does it constantly, and that should have been called intentional. He wasn't playing the ball. Now, watch him chase Peterson down. That's not a play on the ball. That's just a hammer on the man.
Part of the Flint connection. Mo Peterson with a 3-point play, ups the lead to 11. Bell's back.
And you see what Tom Izzo is doing with Mateen Cleaves. As long as he can stay on the floor and keep that leg loose, he's not going to sit him down on the bench and let it stiffen up. Smart move there.
Miller, so many times tonight, has been a little out of control with it, Billy.
Well, he's very good defensive technique players. In that particular case, Bell, they're moving their feet and not reaching out trying to steal that high dribble.
Be a 1-and-1 for Miller.
Jim, what I think that Florida ought to do against Mateen Cleaves now is try to take advantage of his inability to cut quickly. When he touches the ball, they really ought to go out and press him, because I don't think he can beat him down off the dribble.
Smooth stroke. He's got one more. The young man who hit the biggest shot in Florida basketball history to beat Butler in the first round. This week, oddly enough, the Gators worked out on campus at Butler University.
As did the other 3 schools. I imagine that was a great piece of history for those young guys to marvel at.
Hinkle Fieldhouse. A little history in that building through the years. The Milan High School won the 1951 championship, high school championship, depicted in the movie Hoosiers. Peterson. Oh, boy, right up and over a pair of Gators.
Sensational use of the solid screen by Peterson. We saw him come out and have 16 points in the second half on Saturday, really to open things up for his team, doing the same thing now.
Haslam scoring with ease inside.
They really can't stop his game.
21 for Haslam. Made 9 of 11 from the field. But we have under 8 minutes to play, and Florida unable to kind of crack this 10-point barrier.
Well, you see how fresh the starting team is for Michigan State because they've had great help off of that bench. And we saw other teams in the tournament against Florida about this is the time when they'd be breaking physically. The team gets knocked down.
Granger with a 3.
Seniors stepping up. Peterson with a jumper. Granger with a jumper. Haslam picks up the cheap push foul. Hudson wisely guarding him down in low.
Ties the biggest lead of the night. The Granger 3. And they drag Haslam back to the bench.
The foul turns to number 50, Haslam, his third, team's 7th.
Wednesday on CBS. An all-new City of Angels. 8 o'clock, 7 Central. Everybody was heading to the bench, thinking there was a break. They're going to shoot the free throws first.
Yeah, they'll shoot them first.
That's if he makes both. They'll go to the break. Hudson 1-1.
Hudson doing very well. You know, he had that knee problem, and he says tonight he's about 85% of what he normally is. That may have set him back a little bit. A little conversation down in low.
So Irvin Johnson, what a sight to see a player. He was with them all the way last year in the tournament. Out here always decked out in the school colors and right in the middle of all the families, Flint families. Tom Izzo, we can keep holding on, guys, to what we're doing. They're sending back a message back home. They're 7:25 away from bringing home the championship.
Surely he forced Billy Donovan to change his normal pattern of substitution. That was the first breakdown in this game tonight.
Billy Donovan was trying to become the youngest coach to win a championship in over a half-century. His wife, Christine, his father, Bill, who was a college star at Boston College.
Still trying to go inside, but you've got to have more to your arsenal. Just one pass down inside and a shot.
Miller wants to go inside. And out of that, whistle.
Hudson on a push.
That'll be what, his fourth.
Jimmy, what I think that Florida has decided to attack inside, but if you have sameness in your offense and you go inside and that guy thinks he has to score every time, it's going to be easy to defend, and Michigan State has made that adjustment. Now's the time to pop it inside, try to get your best shooter, Miller or Weeks, the jumper on the outside, because the defense is really folding in there.
1-1, and the freshman hits the first.
A lot of battling of the minds here. Two of the young giants in the coaching business. You know, we've got the Lute Olsons and the Gene Cadys, guys that are still at the top of their game, been around a long time. You got the Mike Krzyzewskis and the Roy Williamses in the middle. Now you have the Izzos and the Donovan coming up underneath you. Very healthy situation in the coaching ranks in the college division.
Under 7 minutes to play. Michigan State in no hurry. 13 points ahead.
You notice Cleaves not trying to do anything. Hamilton's really got to go out and pressure him every time he touches the ball.
10 seconds on the shot clock.
Smart play by Mateen to give it up.
Peterson. Oh, again!
Boy, was that a smart play by Mateen. He realizes he doesn't have the legs to go ahead and drive with the ball, so he gives it right back to his buddy who delivers.
Harvey twice. Wright loses the handle.
Every time Wright touches the ball inside, he puts it down for the extra dribble, and there's no room for that.
Hanaganya with his fourth. Let's look at the CBS Sportsline stat of the game. Starting guards. Look at that difference, Billy. Complete stats after the game. CBS.sportsline.com.
Miller sits down. He got hit in the head. But right now, they have to have him on the floor. 6:15 to go. He is their MOP, who has not stood up tonight, in the lane too soon.
On Harvey.
Boy, that really hurts. Always so anxious. Watch Harvey on the inside right here. Steps in much too soon. Ball hadn't been delivered. Takes away some points. You know, you talk about a guy being 80%. Mateen Cleaves right now is 20%. Still dragging that leg around out there.
Boy, he just took a fierce hit. Trying to break through a pick.
What is interesting now, do you guard Mateen Cleaves at all? Or when he touches the ball, do you really go out there? He's out there right now for leadership and leadership only.
And it's proving to be quite worthy.
And you notice that they're not getting the ball to the man that he's guarding. Give it to Parker and let him move on it.
Keep working it inside, and they're not hitting those shots. Look at Cleaves. He doesn't handle it for long. Mateen to Bell. Flint to Flint, and one.
And who got the rebound and dished it off to get it started? Mateen Cleaves. They are stepping up now. We're seeing the experienced team taking control of this basketball game. Bell just a junior, but he's from Flint, so he knows these guys well.
He will be the lone stone next year. It will be Charlie Bell. Peterson, Cleaves. They lost Antonio Smith a year ago. Bell's had some night here.
He really has. He was the key man with his excellent rebounding early on in the ball game. Now he's picking up the ball handling responsibilities, knowing that Mateen cannot turn the corner off the dribble. Really doing some job.
Hanaganya out, Ballinger in, and Cleaves just stays on the floor. 19-point bulge here for the Spartans.
And you're seeing some of the inexperience of Florida, not knowing how to adjust. Their coach says, hey, we want to go inside, and the players only have a one-track mind here. And it's really costing them. There's no versatility in the offense at all. Only one senior on this Florida team, and that is really the difference, Jim, in regard to the way these two teams are operating tonight, isn't it?
The experience has just been so obvious. 2 shots for Haslam.
Haslam found out this year that he and Harvey are actually related. Not by blood, but by marriage. So they are cousins. And they will be married in that paint for the University of Florida for the years to come and be a big factor. Press on, Mateen staying away from the ball. Peterson just seems to be everywhere, doesn't he?
Having a big second half, Billy. 11 in the second half. Could it be 14? Yes, indeed.
Now there is inexperience by Nelson. He's looking out to help out on Cleaves, who's not going to drive, and leaves his man Peterson wide open, who is going to take the shot. Zone defense by Michigan State to try to save Cleaves a little bit.
Tom Izzo. He was talking to us this week here in Indianapolis about how Judd Heathcote, in his last few years before he retired, did me some favors that very few in this profession would do. The last few years, he let me in. He's talking about Judd on the entire process, and it's a wonderful relationship to see Judd Heathcote supporting his former assistant, living and dying with every single trip up and down the floor.
Jim, you know, the only reason he left Judd is that he would have had to fall under the restricted earnings coaches situation. So he left and he went to Tulsa. Right, went for 1 year and was able to come back and return to that staff where he was on there for 12 years as Judd's assistant. Clock now starting to be a real factor for Florida. They have got to get something going with their defense. is guarding Peterson. If it's right, he's got to get out on him. He's been the key man here.
Shot clock. Florida cut it down to 6 on 2 occasions in this half. Never closer. 3 on the shot clock. Ranger fouled on the way up.
Just terrific use of the clock by Michigan State. Down to 2 seconds and get the shot they want.
Tom Izzo's best friend for life is here. Steve Mariucci, head coach, San Francisco 49ers. We went to high school together, college together at Northern Michigan, roommates. And there's Tom Izzo's bride, Lupe.
You know, when you think of Tom Izzo and you talk about Judd Heathcote giving him the shot, how about Michigan State staying with him after he got that job? He was 16-16 his first year, 17-12 the next year. There was a lot of criticism saying, hey, why didn't we get a high-profile coach? I think they've got one now.
One of the best, and showing it tonight. Ranger has tied a career high with 19. What a place to do it.
There's the zone, trying to protect Mateen, trying to force Florida to use some clock. And also take away that inside game. Miller's got to look for the jump shot.
Haslam with another lay-in.
There's that height of right again, being able to throw over the top of people, getting a good passing angle.
At the Final Four, it's not MVP, it's MOP, Most Outstanding Player. And this man is in contention for that award at the Final Four. Mo Pete, M-O-Pete.
Well, Jim, he was the MOP of last year's regional in which he played. He was the most valuable player in the Big Ten, the most outstanding player in the regional in which they just came from, and very possibly, although I'd like to see him share it. You know, there's never been a shared MOP. No, how about Mateen, Cleaves, and Peterson sharing it?
I would second that.
There have been some guys that have been MOPs on losing squads. Bill Bradley to be one for an example, but there's never been a co-MOP.
Miller launches a 3. Long rebound, Nelson. Freshman gets a 3 of his own.
And they'll get some of them against that zone, particularly if Miller extends the jump shot range. The team pretends like he's going long, but there's no speed there.
Peterson tackled at the 50-yard line. You know, you see Cleaves, you see Peterson there together, and we talked about it tonight about how far back this all goes for this Michigan State team, those two in particular. On the playgrounds back in Flint, known each other grade school, competed against each other high school, college, and when Cleaves missed the first 2 months of the season, again, ever the leader, he told Peterson at the line now for 2. He said, it's going to be all right. I am still playing, but I'm playing through you.
Well, remember the games early in the year when he was not able to play, and he'd be on the sidelines, you know, just totally engrossed into his team's game and the game plan of the team. Wasn't a matter of feeling sorry for himself. He worked hard to get back. And
3:41 to go before Tom Izzo is in a zone by himself. The Spartans are going to bring home a championship. And another Spartan here. We talked about Irvin Johnson. How about Steve Smith? Billy, you talked about the American dream. This kid right here certainly fulfilled one of his own.
He donated $2.5 million in his mom's name to set up a student academic center, which he said his mother wanted him always to give back to the university. Class act, a young guy who was 1 game away from getting to a Final Four himself back in 1990 when Kenny Anderson and Georgia Tech knocked off Judd Heathcote's team in an overtime ball game.
And now future athletes can enjoy the Clara Bell Smith Student Athlete Academic Center after his $2.5 million gift for his late mom.
You know, there was an example, Jim, of immaturity. Miller throwing that pass like it's a Sunday afternoon on the playground. a little bit more experience, and you'll see next year he'll be delivering balls the way Mateen Cleaves did in this game. Guys who have great talent have to learn how to play the game. And you don't learn that just goofing around. You got to play big basketball games like he's getting an opportunity with tonight. It's all about clock management now for Michigan State. Mateen can't break to the ball, but Richardson does a nice job doing so.
Richardson races to the basket. Oh, he's going to be some player.
He really is, and he has been brought along very slowly by this team, but you can see him being an explosive scorer.
I can only imagine how valuable, though, this season's been playing with all that experience.
Bell sitting right down defensively, not letting Miller turn the corner. Miller getting a little bit of a opportunity to see tonight what it's like being played by a more mature player.
People were talking about, can Michigan State play a game that's possibly in the 70s tonight, play a Florida-type game? They've got a chance to even hit 100.
Florida's had 7 games, 100 points, where they scored 100. I think that Tom Izzo took on a couple of challenges, Jim. His team will run with Florida, and number 2, I've got a bench that's not bad either.
Mateen having a hard time keeping up on the defensive end.
Well, Jim, since he's come back, let's be honest, he is about 20% physically of what he would normally be. He's on the floor for leadership and just showing how gutty this ball club is. He's playing on one leg right now.
When he returned, his team was up 9.
I'll tell you what you're going to see.
18.
I'll tell you what you're going to see, Jim. He's going to come out of this game, and you are going to see a hug like you haven't seen in college basketball or anywhere else in this country in a long, long time.
Tom Izzo was saying people better appreciate what he's done for the school in so many different facets. Recruiting, he's brought in numerous football players, a hockey player he recruited. When the Spartans lost their football coach, Nick Saban, Cleaves and Izzo went over to talk to the team. Cleaves said, I'll handle it. He talked to the football players on how to hang in there.
You want me to make a statement? As far as a college player is concerned, he's the greatest player in Michigan State history. Magic Johnson only played 2 years.
Yep.
He can hardly walk right now.
When have you seen an effort like this with courage and leadership? He's looking up in the stands.
I think Tom Izzo will get the timeout so Mateen can get the real hand that he deserves in this game. He said, don't leave it out on the floor. Leave everything out there.
Peterson. Bell keeps it alive.
Rebound. Boy, Bell has really come up big in this basketball game. All the intangibles.
8 rebounds for the night.
Tom Izzo ready to bring in his wave of 5.
Crowd already just anticipating the exit for all the upperclassmen. Hudson working hard. Harvey pulls it away.
Hudson playing with a lot of courage, too.
I'll tell you what, Cleaves can barely even get back now. He's going to walk off the floor, but he probably won't be able to walk out of the arena in about an hour.
As tough as Izzo is, Mateen walked by him, and Tom didn't even look at him. Mateen's got that big smile now. I thought for sure they'd call the timeout.
Now they
yes,
do.
They are.
Now they do. What a moment.
He can get his seniors off one at a time. This is really a great move by Tom Izzo. Congratulating guys that have been so key to his program.
Well, Cleaves.
I've never seen this done by a coach before. You notice he's sending them in one at a time. They're strangers.
Oh, there you go. They all get their own space.
And here you go.
One of the greatest leaders the game of college basketball has ever seen. Scott Parker. Will never let go of the dream. And you can leave it to Cleaves.
He's running out onto the floor.
He has reinstated the magic at Michigan State. Unemployment, poverty, the troubles faced by the residents of Flint, Michigan have been well documented, but so too have the triumphs of their favorite sons, the so-called Flintstones of Michigan State. Antonio Smith, who graduated last season, was the first to migrate to East Lansing from Flint. He was here tonight to cheer on his old mates, senior Mateen Cleaves and Morris Peterson and junior Charlie Bell. They all grew up within blocks of each other, played together as kids at Burston Fieldhouse in Flint, against each other in high school, and then together again as Spartans. Such is the power at times we see with college basketball, young men who bring so much hope to a town, and in their case, a town that had so much despair. In a very real sense, we are all better for it, just watching the tail end of their march from the playgrounds of their childhood to the national title game. There was no doubt tonight in Indianapolis as to who was the better team. Mateen Cleaves is the reason we're family, says Tom Izzo. They will be tearing down the nets tonight in Indianapolis with a national championship.
All season long, they beat Florida for the national championship 89-76. We welcome you back to Indianapolis, everyone. Tonight on CBS, stay tuned for your late local news, followed by an all-new late show with David Letterman. Dave's guests tonight are Brooke Shields and Joni Mitchell, and then it's the Late Late Show with Craig Kilborn. Our selections for the Chevrolet players of the game this evening. For Florida, Udonis Haslem with 27 points. Michigan State seniors led the way. Mateen Cleaves in the first half, Morris Peterson in the second half, our Chevrolet players of the game. Let's send you back courtside to Jim and Billy, who are standing by with a very jubilant bunch of Spartans. Jim?
All right, we're here with the Spartans. And head coach Tom Izzo, no one's ever outworked you your whole life, and your dream has come true. It felt like you guys were in control all night tonight. How did you do it?
Well, I think we attacked their press, and we really pushed the ball up the floor, and we got some easy baskets early, and I don't know if that broke them a little bit, but these guys just did a heck of a job. We had 4 turnovers the first half. I think that was a big key.
How can you describe what Mateen Cleaves did for your team tonight and how he came back after the ankle sprain?
Well, I'll tell you what, this guy's got a heart of a lion. He's done it for 4 years. He hasn't done it for 1, and he's done it for the whole university. And, you know, I love him because he's what our program hopefully embodies.
Mateen, you said, and we overheard you say, leave everything out on the floor. Did that mean your ankle as well? I mean, great leadership on your part.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, and I mentioned, hey, if that was my ankle, then, hey, leave it on the floor. All we want to do is come out here and leave it all on the floor. And tonight, that leaving it all on the floor was good enough to win. I'm just thanking God that we got this championship.
How about this guy behind you?
He's got the basket.
Mo Peterson, you had another huge second half. And as one of the seniors, how do you describe this tonight?
Well, it's unbelievable just being around the guys, doing, accomplishing something, knowing that we work hard. And I just want to thank God for giving us this opportunity, and we're just happy to be here right now.
How do you describe the emotion of all this? How much you wanted to come back for this very moment right here?
Oh, my God, this is what I came back for right here, and it's come true. All I can do is thank God and thank everybody that stuck behind us. We love you, Michigan State. We coming home, Flint. We'll be back home. We love you.
How about all the family up in the stands, Lupe, all the moms and dads? It was a real family thing this year at Michigan State.
Well, it really is, Jim, and there's a lot of them up there, and as Mateen says, you know, it's been a group effort all year. I think every guy that went in tonight did something. You know, David Thomas came in and made a couple big passes, and Bellinger hit a big shot. There were a lot of guys that did a lot for us tonight.
Congratulations. Congratulations to all of you. Dreams just came true. Yes, indeed, for Michigan State.
For the national championship. It's time now for the presentation of the national championship trophy. Let's send you over to public address announcer Jackie Bowe.
Your attention, please. To present the championship awards tonight, here is the chairman of the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee, Mr. Craig Thompson.
On behalf of the NCAA and the Division I Men's Basketball Committee, I would like to congratulate both these outstanding teams for their performance tonight and throughout the entire tournament. It is now my pleasure to present to Coach Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans the national championship trophy.
Thanks, Craig. Watch it, guys. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Billy. I think that was one of the tougher teams we played all year, and they got a lot of young guys. I know they're going to be back here again, so my hat off to Florida and Billy Donovan. But I'd like to really take my hat off to our 4 seniors, because they came here 4 or 5 years ago. We made some promises. Michigan State, we answered the promises. We'll see you tomorrow back home. Yeah!
The Spartans in a celebratory mood, and why not? Tom Izzo and Michigan State national champions. You heard him credit Billy Donovan, the head coach of the Florida Gators. We'll take a timeout, and when we continue live from Indianapolis, you will hear from Coach Billy Donovan. We'll be back in just a moment. At a Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And we remind you also, coming up tonight on CBS, your late local news, followed by an all-new late show with David Letterman, and then the Late Late Show with Craig Kilborn. Welcome back to the RCA Dome, everyone. Right now, let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein, who's with Florida coach Billy Donovan.
All right, Billy, for the first time in this tournament, how perhaps did the youth on your ball club really play a role tonight?
Well, the first thing, Bonnie, I want to say, I just want to congratulate Tom Izzo, Michigan State's basketball team, obviously all their seniors and their fans, because they are truly an outstanding team and well-deserving in the national championship, and probably one of the best teams we played this year. I just felt like their seniors took control of the game. Mateen, Cleaves, Morris Peterson, and Granger all came up huge for them, and they shot the ball very well from the three-point line. They shot it very well from the perimeter. And I thought at times, you know, our youthfulness came out a little bit at times, but I think a lot of that's got to be due in large part to Michigan State and how good they are.
I know it's hard to step out of the game this quickly, but as a basketball fan, to watch Mateen Cleaves, who stayed for his senior year, sprains his ankle, comes back on the court, how great is that to see, just as a fan?
Well, he's a great competitor and a great warrior, and I've got a tremendous amount of respect for him as a basketball player. And you know, he willed his team to win today, as he's done so many other times throughout the course of the season. But, you know, Tom Izzo's a good friend of mine. I got a lot of respect for him. This national championship couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. And Michigan State's got a great basketball team. And, you know, again, they deserve the game today.
Well, congratulations on a great season. And, Billy, we look forward to see good things from your young ball club in the future.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Greg?
All right, Bonnie, thanks very much. Another view of the RCA Dome from the Goodyear Blimp as we take another timeout still to come. Our shining moments of a great NCAA tournament. Comments on the game as well from Clark Kellogg and Coach Bobby Cremins. We'll come back to Indianapolis right after this.
in control of this basketball game. Bell Justin Jr., but he's from Flint, so he knows these guys well.
Welcome back to Indianapolis. That Charlie Bell basket made it a 19-point Michigan State lead with 5:34 to play in the second half. And for all practical purposes, the Florida Gators were done in this national championship. Greg Gumbel along with Clark Kellogg and Coach Bobby Cremins. One thing, Mateen Cleaves left the game with an ankle sprain. It didn't matter to Michigan State. The theme was still attack, attack, attack.
You're exactly right. I said it at the top. They couldn't be channel surfers. They had to be determined and decided in what they wanted to do, and they clearly were. And the guy who set the tone was Mateen Cleaves. His sheer determination and leadership on display all season long, coming to the pinnacle here tonight as he knocked down big threes. It was him in the first half, and then his partner from Flint did damage in the second half. You take a look, Cleaves, after going down with the ankle injury, he returned later on. Peterson took over in the second half, 15 of his 21. Greg, I've been around championship teams at all levels. They exude a certain confidence, a certain determination, and that was on full display in a tremendous all-around performance by the Spartans
You
tonight.
know a dagger in the heart when you see one, Clark. How many did Morris Peterson administer from long range?
Well, they made 11 of 22 threes, Greg. That is a tremendous shooting performance on any night, let alone on a championship night.
Coach, we saw this last year, the battle between youth and experience. Experience won out last year, and it wins out again this year.
Greg, Florida's pressure made Michigan State bend in the second half, but they didn't break.
All right, Coach. 89-76, the Michigan State Spartans win their second national championship. The Florida Gators fall short in their first appearance in a national championship game. We'll take a look at Tournament 2000's brightest shining moments when we continue from Indianapolis right after this. Spartan squad tonight represents the successful completion of a mission that began a year ago in St. Petersburg when Duke defeated Michigan State in their national semifinal. As for Florida, the Gators are a young and enormously talented team that served notice tonight that they will be a force in college basketball for the foreseeable future. As we leave you from Indianapolis this evening, here is a salute to all the players and to the men and women who have brought you March Madness and so many shining moments. For all of us at CBS Sports, I'm Greg Gumbel. Good night, everyone.
Ball is tipped, there you are. for your life. You're a shooting star, and all the years no one knows just how hard you worked, but now it shows. One shining moment, it's all on the line. One shining moment, they're frozen in time. The time is short and the road is long. In the blinking of an eye, all that moment's gone. And when it's done, win or lose, you always did your best, 'cause inside you knew that one shining moment you reached deep inside. One shining moment you knew you were alive. Feel the beat of your heart, feel the wind in your face. It's more than a contest, it's more than a race. When it's done, win or lose, you always did your best, 'cause inside you knew that one shining moment you reached for the sky. One shining moment you knew. One shining moment you're willing to try. One shining moment you knew. One shining moment.
Don't go away.